Hello and welcome to the madness and chaos that is the Shanghai Auto Show. As you can see, panning around, this is the crowd of people surrounding, well, Firefly. This is a new sub-brand under NIO, and this is the new car that I wish was coming to the US because it is so cheap and presumably so good.
Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Eaton, Ionna, and InfyPower. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure, hardware and software, gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow. Learn more at eaton.com/EVCI. Also, Ionna, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Ionna is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. And InfyPower, the largest EV charger module provider with over 3 million power modules running reliably worldwide. Their latest G2 collection features ultra-high power density and efficiency for EV charging and energy storage integration. InfyPower, innovation for your power.
So as you can see, the crowds are chaotic, and this is even the press day, so I can't even imagine the public day of the Shanghai Auto Show. But this is the Firefly, a very, very interesting, very cheap vehicle from NIO. Like I said, the original starting price, I believe, when you reserved one, put a deposit down, pre-ordered, whatever, was about 20,000 US when converted from like 148,000 yuan. I think it actually ended up going on sale this week. This week is when deliveries are starting here in China, and it is selling for like $16,000 or $17,000. I'm just going to use USD to keep it easy. That is so incredibly cheap, and this is the coverage a lot of people have been asking for. We've been covering a lot of cars on Out of Spec for years now, spanning anywhere from 30s to 130s to $500,000, whatever. The slew of EVs, a lot of them seem to be in that $50,000 to $100,000 range. That covers almost everything. This one is entering this new price bracket that I really hope we see a lot more cars enter. This is becoming the sub $20,000, I could even say sub $25,000 to keep it simple. I really, really hope we see more in this price bracket. What you still get, 3.2 cubic feet in the frunk as far as storage capacity. That's really impressive. That's just as big as the EV9 rear motor, I think. This is, what tires is this running? 215/50 R18s. No idea what tires those are. They might just be the prototype tires, I'm not really sure, but interesting wheel design. So 18-inch tires. Pretty basic car is my guess. Being a price this cheap, it's like, where are they gonna cut the cost from? Well, part of it is simplicity of the powertrain. It is just one single motor, a NIO-built rear motor, putting out 105 kilowatts, which is like 140 something horsepower, about 140 pound-feet of torque, so you're not looking at a fast car. But it will hit 60 miles an hour. I'm not really sure the time on that, but it actually will hit 60 at least. And it's gonna be a really, really good city car. Maybe charging will be okay. I believe it's a 42 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and it's actually gonna be a swappable battery. Now, what's interesting with this car is this is very small, compact. I just came from Europe, from Italy, where we saw a lot of small, compact cars. That's what everyone wants in Europe. Very, very tiny cars. This is actually designed by NIO, or Firefly, whatever, the company, as a car for Europe. Turns out it actually was delayed in Europe because of tariffs, which is, you know, the hot topic of the day, tariffs everywhere. But because of the tariffs between Europe and China, so not even involving the US, it was delayed. So it's no longer being sold in Europe yet. It's still coming, and that's actually the next planned market. But we're looking here, what is it? The end of April right now is when this is actually going on sale here in China. We should see Europe, according to them, in about Q2. And then the other, I think, places to follow will be South America and Southeast Asia. So now you can see the front, the actual fascia of the car. It's very, very unique, very interesting. And I think that's where the term Firefly actually comes from. You have these interesting array of 3 LED daytime running lights. We've seen a lot of cars with like the single one, sometimes 2 if you're BMW, but seeing 3 in a triad formation is really, really interesting. That's the logo itself right there. Kind of a fake grill, just plasticky. That's totally expected. Actually, this feels very, very, very plasticky. So it's really interesting to see where all did they cut the costs. I'm guessing there's no frunk opening up here. I think it's probably going to be in the cabin, which is fine. I'm glad they closed it just so you can see how this car looks. It's going to be very hard to like step back and see the design of the car, but I can also throw photos on the screen itself. But this is, as you can see, chaotic. But you still have, at that cost level, you still have, I'm guessing, autonomous features. You have the camera up front there. You have the cameras on the side right here. You have cameras in the mirrors. So those could be assembling either a 360-degree view or possibly some sort of ADAS functionality, which is great on a car this cheap. Maybe that's an added extra. That's fine. I just think it's worth it to have a car for the masses, for the people who don't have the budgets for most other slightly higher priced EVs, and let them add more if they want, but like also keep the base price really cheap. I think that makes sense. As far as door feel, actually really impressive. You can see right here, like this suede sort of Alcantara, actually extremely soft to the touch, almost plushy. And these window switches actually feel nice. 4 different window switches, so they didn't even do the ID4 thing where they saved costs by having one button controlling one set bank of window switches. Some sort of sound system. This feels like plasticky, of course, kind of like a Ford Maverick actually. Nice door handle. Wow, like everything feels nicer than it actually I would expect. And you can even see powered seats down there, which is really also unexpected on a car like this. Very basic in the inside, it looks like, as far as a driver's display on the steering column and then a other center display. We might try to get in there in a second. We'll see if we can work our way around the back here. You do see flush door handles, so that should help with efficiency a little bit. Range, which I didn't really mention yet. The range is quoted to be like 270 maybe miles, but that's CLTC. So in reality, we're probably thinking I don't know, 200 miles on a decent day, which is totally fine. I think for a city car, you live in this world where the Fiat 500e is much less range. Well, not way less range, but less range for more money. This also has nice stuff in the rear, all the same materials, one giant window switch. Seems to be pretty nice. No air vents, that's pretty common though for a car this size in the rear. But even the suede extends the seats on the rear, which is really interesting. All kind of vegan leather stuff. But yeah, they didn't even go for cloth. Like, it's crazy to think about the Kia not Kia EV6, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and how the base model of that, the SE, feels compared to this. And that's like twice the price. Not quite, maybe 50%. Well, actually almost twice the price. And that's for like cloth seats, and it feels way, way cheaper. This actually feels like, interestingly, slightly more premium. Impressive trunk space as well, and it's even a powered trunk, which is really impressive. And then we can see the tail lights. Same tail light design as the fronts. So the triad of LEDs, with the upper right one and upper left one being the turn signal. And then you have your required reflectors there for when the trunk's open. Really impressive trunk space for a car this size. I'm kind of shook. Will the charging plat be powered? That'll be really interesting. Let's see if we can open it right here. Nope, not powered, but that's okay with me. You of course have the Chinese standard here, GBT, and then the AC connector right there. So that's pretty normal. This is not an ideal feel, but it's really funny to see these tethered together. Maybe that's normal for China, I'm not sure. We're still learning this Chinese market. But just as far as trunk, like, I'm 6 foot, by the way, and I'm still impressively fitting under here. You still have a cigarette lighter situation right there, some tie down points. Nothing really for sub trunk, but that's totally fine. And yeah, wow, holy crap. So we'll see if I can get into the car at some point and just squeeze in and assemble those clips. But as far as the exterior, I'm very impressed by the design language. It's very like hot hatchy, not the most interesting color, I should say, and that's what's interesting. I think a brand like this with like a floor like this, everyone's wearing like bright green shoes that works for Firefly. I would expect like a brighter color car. Now we do have some other colors floating around here, so maybe we can go give a tour of those at some point. Like we have this like race car spec right here, which that is super sick. Let's look at this. This is presumably for some race series that maybe they have in China. Absolute bucket seats. They still kept the rear seats, which is funny, but everything else looks, oh, it's like a drift car, I think, actually. You can see the drifting lever, the e-brake lever in there, or maybe it's a sequential shifter, not really sure. But it's just funny to see this with a wide body. Actually looks super sick. Gonna have to get more photos of this. Maybe this will be the thumbnail photo. That'd be really funny. Look at the diffuser on this. This is totally wild, but there you can see the actual motor underneath, where before you would just see bumper right here. So that's kind of cool to see. Rear wiper even? Wow. They really kept some things on this race spec. I would daily this. See, I just wish cars would have those switches on the inside. Like, bring those back. Or, I don't know if they ever were out, but bring them around. And then we have this green color. This is more my speed. Something kind of subtle green. Like, this is kind of what I wish my Model 3 color was, but I didn't quite find the right shade. But yeah, different wheel design right here. Same exact size tires. So it's really just maybe pick a wheel design. Maybe this is an even more base model. I'm not really sure. Like the one I just showed you may not be the actual $16,000, $17,000 price point, but so far it looks pretty much the same. Slightly different materials on this door. So this is actually leather where the other one was suede, and you have a cloth thing right here. So maybe this is a more base model. Not really sure. Gotta do research on the actual trims and price. Okay, let's pause the tour for a moment and actually look at the website together. I found out I was filming this right before I filmed it, so I did not have actual time to do all the research. I'm bringing you my raw first impressions in this walk around video, but I still wanted to give you as much detail as possible that we know on Firefly, because this was basically right when they showed it off for the first time. So let's jump over to the website. This is the American, or I guess global website in English. And so we can kind of see chaotic video footage, very fast paced, but gorgeous website, similar to the actual UI of the car, which we're also showing in this walk around video. So just kind of scrolling down the main page. Yeah, Firefly is definitely, I mean, look, even the mouse cursor is like a little dot of a firefly. So that's the motif design for the entire website. And I love it. I'm a huge fan of their ethos, their design language. I hope Firefly is successful and they make more vehicles under this Firefly name, I guess, because it's interesting. I think when you go to a NIO shop or showroom, that's where you would actually buy a Firefly. You also use the NIO app, I believe, in the countries that support it to configure and order your Firefly, which we'll get to that in a second. But here on the website, we are a new global lifestyle mobility brand by NIO. So kind of a nice lifestyle ethos. Kind of reminds me in some ways of Rivian, just a bit, with their design language and color palette and stuff. Carefully crafted for the busy urban streets. Our vision: enable people to live more, move more, and connect more. Kind of cheesy, but hey, it works. Yeah, here's the car itself. And wait, is that really it for the main homepage? Okay, I guess so. We'll go into our car now, which is the first main tab on the website. And yeah, I'm obsessed with how this thing looks. Looks great. Small but big, smart roominess. Scrolling is not perfect on the website. Let's see if, no, that doesn't do it either. Okay. It's a little gimmicky sometimes. I'll use the arrows here. There's the interior, of course, the exterior and the rear, safety, efficiency. Being a small car means more efficient, naturally, which is nice. A little bit about their design, trying to be timeless. I think it is fairly timeless designed. It actually reminds me a little bit of the Honda E as far as especially the side profile shot, but I love how the front and back have these unique lights. That's what really sets it apart. I think it makes perfect sense too, because typically you have a headlight, a high beam, and a turn signal. In this case, it looks like they're kind of combining or separating those three features into different actual lights. Daytime running light is also a light, but they're basically their daytime running lights are the circles around all three of these. So trio lights make Firefly truly special, coming together with our signature oval panel to create an unforgettable face. It's hard to read that. Yeah. And I think that's just referring to the grille. That's their signature oval panel. Around the back, same type of thing. Echoed on the rear, same oval panel. And then they talk about the sky. Standard, by the way, panoramic sunroof with UV filtered light bringing the outside world in. So now we can look at the color palette. Lavender is this kind of light pale purple color. Love that. Lime is gorgeous. It's not a harsh lime green. It's actually a really, really beautiful lime green that we also show off in this walk around video in person. Marble, classy. Sand, I actually like this too. I really like their color palette. Graphite, lava stone. I'd love to see them introduce maybe some red/orange shades, kind of like a Rivian Canyon red, but like a little bit of a, I don't know, a tweak on that. Maybe something with blue. Love to see the green. A darker green would be interesting, but they do get into that into the interior. Speaking of interior, here we have inner radiance, as they call it. So we have this fabric, which is combined with vegan leather, and that's in the travertine colorway, pine, plum, and obsidian. Then we also have microfiber, which is also combined with vegan leather. So either way, you're getting vegan leather in this interior, in this car that is sub $20,000 when converted to USD. Again, the conversion doesn't fully work out because it's not available in the US, but it will be interesting to see how this is priced and everything in Europe. Same for interior colorways. Curious what you guys like the most: obsidian, plum, pine, and travertine. Yeah, I'm wondering which ones would conflict with other ones. Like if you can really choose any interior color with any exterior color, I think that'd be kind of cool. I can go with that. And they talk about sustainability with their, seating stuff, their fabric and their vegan leather. So solvent-free synthetic PU produced with a specific texture treatment for a skin-friendly surface. And it did feel really nice in person. I don't know if they were final production seats, but I'm guessing they are because these are actually on sale in China. Then there's the fabric, which is made from recycled polyester and PET bottles and engineered with hydrophobic technology for durability and maintenance. That's a really nice feature of this, I guess, these types of materials as well, because they're durable, easy to clean, easy to take care of. And that's what reminded me of the Ford Maverick when I was checking this car out, because that also was a very basic, easy, cheap material on the inside, which didn't feel annoyingly cheap. It felt like functionally cheap, and that's a different thing for sure. Moving on, talking about smart roominess, blends unprecedented space, storage, and flexibility in a 4-meter long hatchback. So we have the front, features a front seat bench concept. I mean, it's not officially a bench seat, like there's only 2 seats, but it does kind of appear like a bench because of the way the center console's set out, which is kind of cool. Then the rear, a true bench with actually 3 seats, so it's not a 4-seater, with a 40-60 split. That makes sense. And then, great frunk space, 92 liters, which again is 3.2 cubic feet for those who are measuring that way. And then we also have the trunk. The website is genuinely fantastic. 404 liters, up to 1,253 liters with the seats folded, which of course we show in this walk around video as well. Smart storage, you have different accessories. This is not a new concept. I love seeing this theme in a lot of companies that are coming up with creative storage solutions. I think we've seen some of that with Kia and some other companies who are developing unique, interesting, simple, but effective cars. You have accessories for, magnetic anchor points. Oh, so magnetic anchor points seem to be a recurring theme in this car. I'm curious how strong these magnets are. Like, I can't wait to really try this out properly. Then there's the underseat storage, which we also show for your sneakers or to hide a tablet. I can't imagine someone putting a tablet in the underseat storage. Although it's a convenient, clever place to hide stuff, because even if someone broke into your car, who would think to look under the rear seat? That literally doesn't exist in most other cars. But it's 29 liters of space, which is nice. Armrest storage, of course. So they tout 27 different storage areas. They don't go into all of them here, but definitely great. Smart cabin. So we have high-end tactile elements and offers an immersive experience along with cutting-edge technology. I do have this slight beef with marketing terminology. I mean, I guess marketing people do have a job to do, but calling it cutting-edge technology when all it is really screens. Like, every company is calling screens cutting-edge technology. News alert, they're not cutting edge anymore. Every car in the world seems to have a screen now. except for Slate. Not so much there. But this does actually seem to be really good technology. Using the screen in person, I mean, very snappy, very responsive, and a gorgeous, unique breath of fresh air UI, which I'm hoping they talk about here a bit. But either way, we talk about that in the actual full tour. Ambient lighting, a bunch of different colors that also all match the vibe, the ethos of the car. Nice. I wonder if you can fully customize it. Yeah, I think you can. 256 colors. So in theory, you can fully customize it. They just have these defaults to choose from initially. And here's a little bit more about the tech. 6-inch digital instrument cluster. Feels kind of like an ID4 situation. You know, some of those cars that have the little screen in the front. The Lee Mega is another one I think that does that. Ultra thin to display essential driving information. So basic, kind of bare bones. Mustang Mach-E also, like it kind of feels like that ethos. Then you have the central display, 13.2 inches. That's not that big. There's other cars with bigger, but this is a small car. So it actually felt really proper for the size of the car. And that has, yeah, looks like Google points of interest, which is interesting because China and Google don't really see eye to eye so well. So maybe that's for more of the global market and immersive entertainment. So in theory, you know, everything would get over-the-air updates and such, so they could add more functions to the software. But the software already feels so well baked. The sound system, 14 speakers, true-to-life audio experience with 14 speakers, 7.1 system. So they can be decoded down to 7 essentially height channels. Sorry, not height, ear listening level channels. With Dolby Atmos, typically that indicates there's a height channel situation. That's not spoken here. They don't mention that at all. With support, 14 speakers is not a lot of speakers to do a full Dolby Atmos immersion thing with, especially in a car scenario, because they're trying to optimize for usually all seats at once. So technically, yes, 7.1 is still Dolby capable, but there's not a third number. So you don't see a 7.1.4. 4 meaning height channels. That's what you would see in a lot of other cars we saw in China in this auto show. But it does technically say Dolby Atmos. It's just not the super spatial height channel capable system that we all know and love, or at least I do because I'm a nerd. Premium digital experience. So smart functions. Yeah, just talks about basic stuff. But here you can see more of the UI. I love it so much. Yeah, I would daily this car, absolutely. Integration. So I'm curious what you guys think of these gestures, like when you, oh, that's really interesting. So multi-touch can introduce new gestures. That's really cool, actually. So you can do temperature, sound, volume, or fan speed. It does override the entire screen, as you can see here. It like makes the like everything you see on the screen disappears or fades into the background in lieu of this huge bar. I guess that's okay, but I think that's kind of annoying. I really hate when cars do that generally. Seems fast, responsive, anti-glare, anti-fingerprint, anti-reflection properties. Of course, it's not fully not susceptible to that stuff, but probably improved. Digital rearview mirror, which is kind of nice, and app remote controls, which app is such a huge portion of the ownership of a car, if you ask me. So looking forward to trying this car out along with the app functionality. Here it talks about the range up to 330 kilometers and performance, turning circle, etc. And smart features such as safety, driver assistance stuff. So it does have ADAS. Looks like it has automatic lane change. Yep. Of course, smart cruise control, smart auto parking, and 20 sensors and cameras, which it's saying is a new benchmark for small cars. So they're really leaning into everything small car, you know, breaking records as a small car. But looks like it does meet the latest Chinese, but also Euro NCAP 5-star rating. So not rated for the US, probably never will be. I just don't know if we'll see any Chinese cars actually come here. I hope so, but I don't see that really happening. So 30 active safety systems and driver assistance systems, all standard. Love that. More about the safety, battery safety, you know, making people understand that it's truly is safe. And then talks about the AC charging, 7 kilowatt, or 11 kilowatt 3-phase onboard charger. Interesting. So from their booth, all I could glean was that it just handles 7 kilowatts, which would be like a 32 amp situation. And in the car, even on the screen, it only went up to 32 amps when I selected the amperage. So I guess for maybe the Euro market, they'll do 11 kilowatt AC. Not really sure on that. 100 kilowatt DC charging. Yeah, we kind of talked about charging a little bit already, but 29 minutes, 1080, that's not fast for Chinese standards, but I don't know if that's really going to be, you know, you have to save money somewhere. So that's pretty much it for walking through that. There's a little about us section just about Firefly's purpose, goals, intentions, liberate people from compromise. That's kind of Lucid's thing is like compromise nothing. Here's another way to mention that, which is kind of fun. Shine bright. Yeah, a lot of great photography, you know, typical stuff. Great. I love this website a lot. So yeah, I'm a fan. Ambition. Okay. So let's hop over now. We're on the Chinese website. I have this turned on to translate to English. So it may not be perfect translation, obviously, but Google does its best. So on the Chinese website is where we can actually do configuration. So I think everything else is pretty comparable. They do mention a few more things here, and then also, you know, QR codes to download the app. But let's configure immediately and see how this looks. Because I was curious if different options create, you know, different price brackets. But translating this back to English, let's see what this looks like. It does take a little bit to load here, but there we go. So I think the trim levels are translated to free and luminous, although I believe they are different. Let's see. So I think this is the Zhizai and Faguang. I don't really know if I'm pronouncing that right, but maybe that's what's translated to free version and luminous version. 120,000 yuan up to about 126,000 yuan. So 6,000 difference between the two. But looks like either way, comes with a 42 kilowatt hour standard endurance battery, so standard range, which means there may be other batteries in the future. We don't know about that, but CLTC of 420 kilometers, that's probably not looking super realistic, honestly. And it's funny that even the global website, I believe, I don't know if I can get back to that super easily, but the range that they talked about was like, what, 330 kilometers? So that's probably maybe WLTP. Yeah, right here. Not sure. The asterisks aren't showing me exactly where it is unless they're down here. 330, yes, WLTP. So 330 WLTP or 420 on CLTC, which is never that accurate. But price includes any color. So we're looking at this price down here. That's not changing. Price includes that. Oh, inspired purple is extra. Explore gray is free. What about white? Oh, white's free as well. So really just the colors are 3,000 yuan extra. Then we have the wheel options. So we do see both of these wheels in the showroom. Looks like they're both the same size. And yes, those wheels are also 3,000 extra. So you do have a bit extra there. As far as interior, let's see. That's the same included. This color, that's 3,000 extra. And then this is also 3,000 extra. So that, yeah, I guess 2 options are free, 2 options are extra. So I think that's everything, but I'm curious if I upgrade to this other trim, what is included with this? Now, if we select that, So I'm not entirely sure what the different trims indicate, but you know, if we like max it out with all these options, now we've got up to, let's see, 9,000 plus that, so 134,800 yuan. So not entirely sure what these differences are. Free version. Oh, interesting. So maybe it's the interior feel, like the materials, like the microfiber is on one and then the cloth on the other. I guess that would make sense. But it's just interesting how this website's laid out. Like it's really just the interior decoration then that's different. I don't know. It's a little confusing on this. If anyone has any more ideas or if I'm missing something in translation, let me know. But that's just a quick look at the configurator. You can see the back, the front. I really like the configurator quite a bit. And there's even enter the 3D mode. Oh, so you can look around just like that. So it seems like a nice configurator. Seems good. And then, yeah, you can schedule test driving. You can see service. I mean, this is, oh, maybe they do service on site from NIO service system, which makes sense. So it's nice to have everything kind of built in with NIO. And then what are these? Light enjoyment exclusive. Oh, these are service packages. So that's interesting too. The service can be comfortable, door-to-door tire repair, accident peace of mind, driving service. So a bunch of different things you can opt for if you so choose. Wow, look at the service bay full of Fireflies. Awesome. So that's a look at the website, both sides. I know this is becoming a longer video, but trying to give you as much information as possible on Firefly. Now back to the full tour. Dang, so the frunk is even set in a way that fits like most carry-on luggage, even the roller bags, which is pretty awesome. Probably not in their full extended standpoint, but it still works. This is maybe the more base model. I'm not really sure. It has cloth seats, but like really interesting looking cloth seats. Might be able to get a look right there. All right, opening the door. It's very similar to the EV6 handle, like very, very, very similar. But here's the cloth seat right here. And it feels very plush. And wow, I'm actually pretty impressed. I even have headroom to spare, like a lot of headroom to spare. Like, why have I been in so many bigger cars that have less headroom and less legroom? This is crazy. I think one single USB-C port down here, and that's it. I don't even know what that does. Maybe another port will go there at some point. Speakers around me, glass roof, I'm presuming standard. Like, that's really, really impressive. We'll see if I can get into the front at some point too. All right, jumping into the front seat here. Ugh. Okay, so I was actually sitting behind myself, and I even have room to spare, which is really impressive. Looks like the steering wheel controls are very, very basic, which is nice. The screen reminds me definitely of an ID4 a little bit, but it's showing 196 kilometers at about half battery, which roughly tracks. I mean, we'll see how that's actually measured in the future. And yeah. Nice. Okay, all the vents are up front, it looks like, kind of like a Tesla situation. And wow, very interesting controls. Very, very simplified, I think. Wow, really interesting UI. There's your driving modes. Weather. Not sure. Maybe recent destination. Okay, clock. The map. Oh, this is so cool. And then there's your quick widgets. Time. Heated seats. Okay. Cameras look like potatoes. That's kind of expected. Okay. And right heated seat. And then quick access menus there too. Pet mode. That's what I'm talking about. 32 amp charger. That's fine. That's the most you can do, but selectable, so that's really cool. You can set your state of charge all the way down to 40% up to 100. That's pretty cool. CLTC. Oh my gosh. Wow, this is so cool. Okay, decent sound system. Won't use it because of copyright. Manual dimming mirror though, that's where they cheaped out. That's where it got under $20,000. Nice. I actually really, really like this UI. And tiny center console. That kind of makes sense. A little bit deeper there. Okay. I don't know what you use that for, but 27 different storage cavities in the cabin, including under seat storage. I mean, cool. Like, give it to us. That's awesome. Still learning a lot about this brand, but I thought it'd be really interesting to bring a quick overview of what we can tell from Firefly. Everyone's really excited about it. Like, there's so many people packed around these cars. You do have some more visual textiles on the wall there, but they don't really say, yeah, it doesn't say like a trim. It just says options. So maybe you can just like pick your Firefly, pick your interior feel. I do love the color palette though, having like the browns, the tans, little nuances of green, and then the two wheel designs. I'm guessing the upper one is a paid upgrade because it just looks nicer. But I actually do prefer the aero design, and maybe you get a bit more efficiency, which probably plays a lot with a car with this little range and this little of the battery. Well, this is the level 2 charger they have on display. 7 kilowatts. It is only a 32 amp onboard charger, so I guess that makes sense. You can see the connector right here. And it does even support things like plug and charge, apparently, Bluetooth. So this is cool. I'm guessing this is like an additional add-on thing. I'm sure it doesn't just come with the car that cheap. But even so, it's cool that they're investing in their own charging infrastructure beyond just the public stuff. I don't really know the whole public landscape of China. Maybe Tom Malodny can come over here and do a whole state of charge on all the Chinese at-home level 2 chargers. That'd be interesting. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. IP55 protection, so it's some measure of dust and water resistance. Not as protective as you see with cell phones like IP68, but still better than nothing. I like the green. Okay, so like I said, this has NIO's 5th generation battery swapping technology that's coming, I guess. It's been, poor Firefly, they've gone through, as far as I can tell, 3 different iterations of potential battery swap capabilities, and they still haven't gotten it nailed down yet. NIO's done battery swapping for years, that's not new. But this 42 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery will be swappable apparently in 2026. At least it's probably swappable by the time this goes on sale now. You just won't find a station capable of that. That's okay. Even as it sits, I think with a range of 262 miles on CLTC, so yeah, like I said, 200 miles-ish, that's still okay for a lot of people. Keeping the cost down, but keeping the battery small, which makes the car lighter, which does make it a bit more efficient. I'd be really excited to try this out sometime and see how's the efficiency, how's the miles per kilowatt hour, or watt hours per mile, or whatever they would actually measure it over here would be. Very curious. I'm very curious what you guys think. This has been a hot car, obviously. Everyone's here, everyone's trying to look at it. This one itself is maybe like a development car. I'm not even sure what's on the roof. But it seems like a lot of things are packed in pretty well as standard. Standard glass roof, standard fragrance system, apparently, which is really interesting. You can even get heated and ventilated seats, so there is some upgradability available. And then even without the ventilated seats, you can have under seat storage for like 1 cubic foot. Like there's like 27 storage compartments in the car. They're packing so much into this. They're really trying anyways. And I like that. I like that direction. I hope we see more and more cars that are this small, this efficiently packed, and this effectively priced. Let us know what you guys think of the Firefly. We will get our hands on as many Chinese cars as we possibly can coming up here soon. More to come. I know you guys have been asking for cheaper cars, so we're gonna try to cover more cheaper cars.